Hello. This is a short version of the video that I previously broadcasted in last 2 weeks. So this is the first one is about the tibial cutting level using the microplasty. It's tips and tricks. So as you know, there are two instrument sets for Oxford partial knee. This is the previous one. This is called the phase 3 instrument. The alignment of the female component is decided manually. Referring this bar and alignment rod. But this is the current we use the microplasty instrument set. The alignment is decided according to the relation with this rod, linking with this linkage. As a result, this instrument is set at 7 degrees in versus and 10 degrees in deflection. Once we insert a spoon gauge under the lowest point of the medial femoral condyle, then set the cutting block and clamp the G clamp. Then this cutting level is set 6 millimeter or 7 millimeter below the lowest point of the medial femoral condyle. This 6 or 7 millimeter means tibial thread thickness 3 millimeter and 3 or 4 millimeter bearing thickness. So then if we cut this plane, the cutting the enough space, it is the sum of tibial tray and 3 bearing thickness can be created. But after the tibial bone cut and insert the initial trailer component, so this pressure gap is slightly tight in some cases. Why? There is some reasons. The part 3, just after tibial cut, we always make sure this flexion gap is enough or not using this femoral drill guide. If we insert this drill guide smoothly using 2 fingers, it indicates that the gap is enough. Otherwise, the gap is sometimes tight at this time because the MCL is sometimes overstretched. So when G clamp is clamped, the MCL should be restored its original length. This is the ideal situation. However, MCL is already overstretched at this time because of some reasons. The first is the gap is absolute 0 millimeter. This situation is have some condition that this gap before the bone cut is 1 millimeter between the femur and the tibial bony surfaces. But sometimes due to the contracture of the soft tissue, including the MCL, the medial gap is absolute 0 millimeter. And another reason is medial tibial slope. So if the absolute medial gap is absolute 0 millimeter, after the insertion of the spoon gauge, in this condition, this cutting level should be higher because in this condition, medial quadrilateral ligament is already stretched. Another one is medial tibial slope. Just after the insertion of the spoon gauge, The spoon gauge inclines medially due to the slope of the medial condyle because the the spoon gauge is flat surface, so if you insert the, between the bone, the spoon gauge follows the medial femoral condyle's inclination. So actually the bone cut should be here from the bottom of the medial femoral condyle. But after the clamping of the G clamp, then this spoon gauge should be perpendicular to the tibial tibial guide, tibial rod. So in this situation, the medial condyle should be lifted up. Then in this condition, also the MCL can stretch. Then bone cut surface should be higher. So in this condition, if you feel the mid spoon gauge, the initial spoon gauge is too tight, even you are using the 1 mm spoon gauge, you should use forging clamping. Otherwise, if uh, the spoon gauge is inserted in the inclined against the tibial derived guide, tibial extramedullary rod, then if you find after the G clamping of the G clamp, then medial femoral condyle is lifted up. So you should change the gauge length to the 4 mm. So basically, I prefer to use the 3 mm 3G clamp to reduce the bone volume because most Japanese females have very small bone, and if we cut too low, the distance between the keel and the cortex can be close. They can increase the risk of postoperative fracture. So, in contrast, if the gap is more than 1 mm, the cutting level can be too low. So, this is the condition where the MCL is restored its original length. This situation can open the medial joint gap, but after the bone joint loading, so medial gap can shrink. If we insert this one and decide cutting level from the lowest point of the medial femoral condyle in this condition, after the implantation, this MCL can be restored. Then, true cutting level should be here. So this is the 6 or 7 mm under the condition that MCL is already listed its original length and tension. If it is too tight, cutting level should be too high. If this is to shrink, it's to lose MCL, is to lose, the cutting level should be low. So in any time, you should restore the original length and the tension of the MCL. This is mandatory. So in this condition, this solution is used 2 or 3 mm spoon gauge, and we can easily make sure if the gap is loose or not. Twisting, rotating the spoon gauge. If you can rotate more than 20 degrees to 220 degrees in both directions, it implies the gap is too loose, so you should change the thicker spoon gauge. But sometimes you can experience even the 3 m spoon gauge is too loose at the time. So this basic is to restore the original MCL tension and length. So insert the spoon gauge and then pull the tibia downward and you can feel the normal tension of the MCL. Then you clamp the G clamp. So in other words, you should lift up or pull down the leg, then make sure decide the cutting level. Another one is the characteristic of the femoral cutting block. So this femoral cutting block is designed as the 1.5 millimeters in extension version. The reason is to keep the enough contact between the posterior condyle or the femoral component and the posterior bone cut surface. Otherwise, sometimes this cutting plane can be too extended in this condition, so-called wedge sign can be occur. But in this condition, this thickness should be always thinner compared to this red line, the bony thickness. This is correspond to the component thickness. So in our estimation, around 0.5 millimeter is thinner compared to the original component thickness of the posterior condyle. So this is it's unavoidable to cut the relative thick than the original component length. So this is another reason is the gap is sometimes too tight after the implantation. So another one is so can be kicked by the sclerotic bone surface because this area of femoral bone, the bone surface is very strong, very hard because of the sclerotic change of subchondral bone for the medial side of osteoarthritis. So sometimes the saw blade tip is kicked. So to avoid this kicking of the saw blade tip, you should hand down and place the tip of the saw blade on the surface of the tibial cutting guide. So if spoon gauge indicates proper cutting level, but drill guide not. What does it mean? So insert the spoon gauge and decide the tibial cutting level. Then insert this one, female drill guide. But sometimes so there is osteophyte here in the medial edge of medial femoral condyle. So if in this condition, spoon gauge can be properly inserted the lowest point of the medial femoral condyle, but after the cutting at this level, but the whole place can be created here, but in fact after change to the femoral drill guide, this upper surface of this drill guide is getting down due to the osteophyte here. So if there is a big osteophyte laterally, so this drill hole can be made lower than the proper position of the hole. So of course, in the initial step of operation, you may remove osteophyte here, but you may remove the osteophyte only the medial to the medial femoral condyle, but you should focus on the undersurface of the medial chip of the medial femoral condyle because it is sometimes lower than the center of the medial femoral condyle. So If the gap is too tight, what is the solution? What is the next we should do? Is the one is femur recut and another is a tibial recut. But I strongly recommend that you should recut the femur first. It is quite easy because most cases there is the cartilage, so you can only using the chisel that remove the posterior cartilage using a chisel, then flexion gap can be opened. And sometimes I use bone saw to remove osteophyte and even the bone a little bit. But even after the removal of the femoral bone is too tight, the next I do the tibial recut. But it is very dangerous. The one reason is sometimes cutting level is too low. As I said before, that can cause the risk of fracture, and sometimes the lower cut can damage the MCL insertion to the tibia. That can cause the medial side looseness, and of course, lower cut can cause the tibial fracture. So we should retain the tibial bone as much as possible and remove osteophyte. So sometimes the medial edge of the medial condyle is lower than the center of the medial condyle. Okay. This is the end of my past talk. Thank you.